Welcome back to Easy English Talk Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Easy English Talk Podcast. It's so good to have you here with us today. Hey, Priya, how has your day been so far?
Hi, Ryan. It's been pretty good, actually. I've been trying to finish a few things this morning, but honestly, I kept getting distracted by my phone. How about you? How's your day going?
Same here, to be honest. I had a clear plan for the morning, but then I checked one message and suddenly 30 minutes disappeared. It's funny how easily that happens these days, isn't it?
It really is. I think we all experience that more than we'd like to admit. It feels like staying focused has become one of the hardest things to do now.
Before we dive into today's topic, I want to ask all of you listening right now, where are you tuning in from? Are you at home, at work, or maybe commuting somewhere? We'd love to know.
Yes, please share in the comments below. We really enjoy hearing from you and learning about where our listeners are from around the world.
And I also want to ask, is this podcast helping you improve your English? Are you finding value in these conversations we're having? If you are, please let us know because your feedback truly means a lot to us.
Absolutely. We create these episodes with you in mind, so hearing from you helps us understand what's working and what you'd like more of.
Today, we are discussing how to stay focused in a world made for distraction. Now, if you clicked on this episode, you probably already know what we're talking about. You've likely felt that frustration of trying to concentrate on something important, only to find yourself pulled away by notifications, thoughts, or endless scrolling.
That's exactly right. And the reason this topic matters so much is because focus isn't just about productivity. It's about living the life you actually want to live, doing the things that truly matter to you.
So if you stay with us until the end, you're going to walk away with real strategies that can help you take back control of your attention. These aren't complicated theories. These are practical, simple ideas that you can start using today.
And we'll also talk about why this is so hard in the first place, because understanding the problem is the first step towards solving it.
So let's start there, Priya. Why is it so difficult to stay focused now? I mean, people have always had distractions, but something feels different today, doesn't it?
It does feel different, and there's a reason for that. The distractions we face today are not random or accidental. They've been designed to grab our attention and hold it for as long as possible.
That's a really important point. When we think about distractions in the past, maybe it was a loud noise outside or someone interrupting you. Those were temporary things that eventually went away.
Exactly. But now the distractions are constant and they follow us everywhere. Our phones are always with us, and every app on that phone is competing for our attention every single second.
And these apps are built by teams of very smart people whose job is to make the app as engaging as possible. They study how our brains work and use that knowledge to keep us hooked.
Right. They use things like bright colors, notification sounds, and endless content that automatically plays next. All of these things trigger responses in our brain that make it very hard to look away.
It's almost like we're not fighting against our own lack of discipline. We're fighting against systems that are designed to win our attention at any cost.
That's a really good way to put it. And I think when people understand that, they stop blaming themselves so much. It's not that you're weak or lazy. It's that you're up against something very powerful.
So the first thing we need to accept is that staying focused today requires real effort and intention. It's not going to happen automatically, no matter how motivated we feel.
Absolutely. We have to be deliberate about it. We have to create the right environment and build the right habits, because the world around us is not going to help us focus. It's going to try to distract us.
Now, let's talk about what happens when we can't focus. Why does this matter so much? What are we actually losing when we're constantly distracted?
Well, the most obvious thing we lose is time. When you sit down to work on something and you keep getting interrupted, a task that should take 1 hour might take 3 or 4 hours instead.
And it's not just about the time itself. It's about the quality of the work we produce. When we're constantly switching between tasks or checking our phones, we never get into that deep state where our best work happens.
That's called deep work, and it's when we're fully immersed in something challenging and meaningful. That's when we learn the most, create the most, and feel the most satisfied with what we're doing.
But if we're always distracted, we stay on the surface of everything. We never go deep. And over time, that can make us feel like we're busy all the time, but not actually accomplishing anything important.
It can also affect our relationships. When we're with someone, but we're constantly looking at our phone, we're not really present. We're not fully listening or connecting with that person.
And I think a lot of people feel this. They feel like they're missing out on life even while they're living it, because their attention is always somewhere else.
There's also an emotional cost. Constantly switching between different things is exhausting for our brain. It creates stress and anxiety, and it makes it harder to feel calm or peaceful.
So the stakes are actually quite high. This isn't just about being a little more productive. It's about our mental health, our relationships, and our ability to do meaningful work.
Exactly. And I think once people realize how much they're losing, they become more motivated to make real changes. It's not just a nice idea anymore. It becomes necessary.
All right, so now let's move into solutions. What can we actually do about this? Let's start with the most obvious source of distraction for most people, which is the smartphone.
Yes, the phone is probably the biggest challenge. It's always with us and it's constantly trying to get our attention. So the first step is to change our relationship with our phone.
And that doesn't mean you have to throw your phone away or never use it again. It just means being more intentional about when and how you use it.
One simple thing you can do is turn off all non-essential notifications. Most of the notifications we get are not urgent or important. They're just apps trying to pull us back in.
So go into your settings and be ruthless about what you allow to notify you. For most people, you probably only need notifications for calls and messages from important people. Everything else can wait.
Another thing that helps is to create physical distance between you and your phone when you need to focus. If you're working on something important, put your phone in another room.
That might sound extreme, but it makes a huge difference. Even if your phone is on silent, just having it nearby can be distracting because part of your brain is always aware of it.
Studies have shown this. People perform better on focus tasks when their phone is in another room compared to when it's just on the desk face down.
So creating that physical separation removes the temptation completely. You can't check your phone if it's not within reach, and after a while, you stop thinking about it.
You can also use your phone's built-in tools to help you. Most smartphones now have focus modes or do not disturb settings that you can customize for different situations.
For example, you could set up a work mode that blocks social media apps and only allows important calls through. Then you activate that mode during your focused work time.
The key is to set these things up in advance, when you're feeling motivated and clear-headed. Don't wait until you're already distracted to try to make these changes.
That's really important. We have to make these decisions when we're in a good state of mind, not when we're already caught up in the distraction.
Another strategy is to schedule specific times for checking your phone or social media, rather than doing it constantly throughout the day. For example, maybe you check it once in the morning, once at lunch, and once in the evening.
That way, you're still staying connected and informed, but you're doing it on your terms. You're in control, rather than letting your phone control you.
It takes some practice to build this habit, but once you do, you'll notice how much more present and focused you feel during the rest of your day.
Now, let's talk about the environment where you work or study. The space around you has a huge impact on your ability to focus.
Absolutely. If your workspace is cluttered or messy, your mind tends to feel cluttered and messy too. Visual clutter is actually a form of distraction.
So one of the simplest things you can do is clear your desk or workspace before you start. Remove everything that's not related to the task you're working on.
Just having a clean, organized space can help your brain settle down and focus. It removes those little visual triggers that might pull your attention away.
You should also think about noise. Some people work better in complete silence, while others prefer some background noise. There's no right answer. It depends on what works for you.
If you're in a noisy environment and you need quiet, noise-canceling headphones can be really helpful. Or you can use white noise or soft instrumental music to block out distracting sounds.
The goal is to create an environment that supports focus, rather than fights against it. And this might be different for different people, so you have to experiment and find what works for you.
Another thing to consider is lighting. Natural light is best if you can get it, but if not, make sure your space is well lit. Poor lighting can cause eye strain and make it harder to concentrate.
And think about temperature too. If you're too hot or too cold, that becomes a distraction. Try to create a comfortable physical environment where your body isn't sending you signals that something is wrong.
These might seem like small things, but they add up. When you remove all these little sources of discomfort and distraction, it becomes much easier to focus on what matters.
Now let's talk about something that might be even more important than the external environment, and that's your internal state. How you feel mentally and physically makes a big difference.
That's so true. You can have the perfect workspace and no phone nearby, but if you're exhausted or stressed or hungry, you're still not going to be able to focus well.
So taking care of your basic needs is actually part of staying focused. And the first one is sleep. If you're not getting enough quality sleep, everything else becomes harder.
When we're sleep deprived, our brain doesn't function properly. We can't concentrate, we make more mistakes, and we're much more easily distracted by everything around us.
Most adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. And it's not just about the number of hours. The quality matters too. You need deep, uninterrupted sleep.
So having a consistent sleep schedule helps. Going to bed and waking up at the same time each day trains your body and helps you sleep better.
And what you do before bed matters too. Avoiding screens for at least an hour before sleep can make a big difference because the blue light from screens interferes with our natural sleep signals.
The second thing is nutrition. What you eat affects your brain's ability to focus. If you're running on sugar and caffeine, you might get a quick boost, but then you'll crash.
Instead, try to eat balanced meals with protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates. These give you steady energy throughout the day, rather than spikes and crashes.
And don't skip meals, especially breakfast. When your blood sugar drops, your brain struggles to focus. So eating regularly helps keep your energy and concentration stable.
Hydration is another simple but important factor. Even mild dehydration can affect your cognitive function and make it harder to focus. So keep water nearby and drink it throughout the day.
Exercise is also incredibly important for focus. Physical activity increases blood flow to the brain and releases chemicals that improve mood and concentration.
You don't have to run a marathon. Even a short walk or some light stretching can help clear your mind and improve your ability to focus when you sit back down to work.
Many people find that exercising in the morning sets them up for a more focused and productive day. It wakes up your body and brain and helps you feel more alert.
So all of these things, sleep, nutrition, hydration, and exercise, they're not separate from focus. They're actually the foundation that makes focus possible.
If you're trying to improve your focus but you're ignoring these basic needs, you're making it much harder on yourself. So start there. Take care of your body and your brain will work better.
Now, let's talk about how we actually structure our time when we're trying to focus, because even with perfect conditions, our brain can only concentrate deeply for so long.
That's right. Our attention is like a muscle. It gets tired after being used for a while. So trying to focus for hours and hours without a break is actually not effective.
There's a technique called the Pomodoro technique that a lot of people find helpful. The idea is to work in focused blocks of time, usually 25 minutes, followed by a short break.
During those 25 minutes, you commit to working on just one thing with full focus. No checking your phone, no switching tasks, no distractions at all.
Then, when the timer goes off, you take a 5-minute break. You stand up, stretch, get some water, look away from the screen. You give your brain a rest.
After 4 of these focus sessions, you take a longer break, maybe 15 to 30 minutes. This gives your brain time to recover before you start another round.
What's powerful about this technique is that it makes focus feel more manageable. 25 minutes doesn't feel overwhelming. You can tell yourself, I can focus for just 25 minutes.
And often, once you get into that focus state, you might find that you want to keep going even after the timer ends. But having that structure helps you get started. You don't have to use exactly 25 minutes. Some people prefer longer or shorter blocks. The important thing is to have clear start and end points for your focus time. Another important principle is to work on your most important or difficult tasks when your energy and focus are at their peak. For most people, that's in the morning.
So don't waste your best hours on easy or unimportant things like checking email or scrolling through news. Save those for later when your focus naturally declines.
Use your peak time for deep work, for the things that really matter and require your full concentration. That's when you'll do your best thinking and make the most progress.
And be realistic about how much deep focus time you can actually achieve in a day. For most people, it's somewhere between 3 to 5 hours of truly focused work.
That might not sound like a lot, but if you're genuinely focused during that time, you can accomplish more than you would in 8 hours of distracted, scattered work.
So it's better to have a few hours of real focus than to spend the whole day half working and half distracted. Quality matters more than quantity.
Another helpful approach is to batch similar tasks together. Instead of switching between different types of work throughout the day, group similar things together and do them all at once.
For example, instead of answering emails as they come in, set aside a specific time to go through all your emails at once. This reduces the mental cost of constantly switching between different types of thinking.
Every time you switch tasks, your brain needs time to adjust and refocus. So the more you can minimize those switches, the more focused and efficient you'll be.
Now, I want to talk about something that I think is really important, but often overlooked, and that's the power of boredom.
Oh, this is interesting. What do you mean by the power of boredom?
Well, we live in a world where we're never bored anymore. Whenever we have a free moment, we immediately reach for our phone or find something to entertain us.
That's so true. Waiting in line, sitting on the bus, even just sitting alone for a few minutes, we fill all of those moments with some kind of stimulation.
But boredom actually serves an important purpose. When we're bored, our mind wanders, and that's when we often have our best ideas and insights.
It's also when we process our experiences and make connections between different things we've learned. That kind of mental processing is important for creativity and problem solving.
But if we're constantly consuming content and never giving our brain any downtime, we don't get those benefits. We're always in input mode and never in processing mode.
So allowing yourself to be bored sometimes, to just sit quietly without any entertainment, can actually improve your ability to focus and think deeply.
It trains your brain to be comfortable with stillness and to not need constant stimulation. And that makes it easier to focus when you need to, because your brain isn't always seeking the next hit of entertainment.
This is why practices like meditation can be so helpful. Meditation is essentially training your brain to stay with one thing, usually your breath, without getting distracted.
And the skills you develop in meditation, the ability to notice when your mind wanders and gently bring it back, those are the same skills you need for staying focused in everyday life.
You don't have to meditate for hours. Even 5 or 10 minutes a day can make a difference. It's like exercise for your attention.
So building in some moments of stillness and boredom into your day, whether through meditation or just sitting quietly, can actually strengthen your overall capacity for focus.
Let's also talk about the importance of knowing your why. When you're trying to focus on something, it helps to be clear about why it matters to you.
That's a great point. If you're working on something that feels meaningless or unimportant, it's going to be much harder to stay focused on it.
But when you have a strong reason for doing something, when you understand how it connects to your goals or values, focus becomes easier because you're motivated from within.
So before you start a task, take a moment to remind yourself why you're doing it. What will you gain from completing this? How does it serve your larger goals?
This is especially helpful for tasks that aren't inherently interesting or enjoyable. If you can connect them to something you care about, they become easier to focus on.
For example, maybe you're studying something difficult. If you just think about how boring it is, you'll struggle to focus. But if you think about how this knowledge will help you achieve a goal you care about, suddenly it feels more worthwhile.
Having that clear purpose gives you something to anchor your attention to when distractions arise. You can remind yourself why this matters and why it's worth staying focused.
Now, let's talk about what to do when you notice you've become distracted, because this is going to happen. No one can maintain perfect focus all the time.
Exactly. The goal isn't to never get distracted. The goal is to notice when you've been distracted and bring yourself back quickly without judgment.
That last part is important. Don't beat yourself up when you notice your mind has wandered or you've started scrolling through your phone. That just adds stress and makes it harder to refocus.
Instead, just acknowledge it calmly. Oh, I got distracted. That's okay. Now I'm going to bring my attention back to what I was doing.
The more you practice this gentle redirection, the faster you'll be able to catch yourself and return to focus. It becomes almost automatic over time.
It's also helpful to investigate what pulled you away. Was it your phone, a thought, something in your environment? Understanding your patterns helps you prevent those distractions in the future.
For example, if you notice you always get distracted at a certain time of day, maybe that's when you need to take a break instead of trying to push through.
Or if you keep thinking about something you need to do later, write it down so your brain can let go of it. Often we get distracted because our brain is trying to remember things.
Having a notebook nearby where you can quickly jot down any thoughts or tasks that pop up can be really helpful. It clears your mind so you can return to focus.
Another thing that can help is to set clear stopping points in your work. If you know exactly when you're going to finish and what comes next, your brain can relax into the focused work.
But if you don't know when you'll be done, part of your brain stays anxious and distracted, worrying about how long this will take and what else you need to do.
So before you start, decide how long you'll work and what your signal is for stopping. This gives your brain a sense of safety and makes it easier to dive deep.
Let's also talk about the role of other people in our ability to focus. Sometimes other people are the source of distraction, but they can also be a source of support.
That's true. If you live or work with other people, it's important to communicate your need for focus time. Let them know when you need to not be interrupted.
You could set up a signal, like closing your door or putting on headphones. That means you're in focus mode and shouldn't be disturbed unless it's urgent.
Most people will respect this if you explain it clearly and kindly, and you can offer the same in return. You support their focus time, and they support yours.
You can also use other people for accountability. Tell someone about your goal to improve your focus and check in with them regularly about how it's going.
Just knowing that someone else knows about your commitment can make you more likely to follow through. We often work harder to keep commitments we've made to others than ones we've only made to ourselves.
Some people even like to work alongside others in focused work sessions, either in person or virtually. There's something about working in parallel that helps both people stay on task.
Yes, it creates a gentle accountability. You don't want to be the person who's scrolling through their phone while everyone else is working, so it helps you stay focused too.
Now, I want to address something that I think trips a lot of people up, and that's perfectionism. Sometimes we can't focus because we're too worried about doing things perfectly.
Oh, this is such an important point. Perfectionism creates a lot of mental resistance that makes it hard to even start, let alone stay focused.
When you're worried that your work has to be perfect, you feel pressure and anxiety every time you sit down to work, and that anxiety becomes a form of distraction.
Your mind starts worrying instead of working. Am I doing this right? Is this good enough? What if I make a mistake? All of that mental chatter pulls you away from the actual task.
So letting go of perfectionism and accepting that your work just needs to be good enough, not perfect, can actually free up a lot of mental energy for focus.
This is especially true for creative work or learning. You have to give yourself permission to make mistakes and produce imperfect work, especially when you're still learning.
The focus should be on making progress, not on being perfect. And often, you'll find that when you let go of perfectionism, your work actually gets better because you're not holding yourself back.
Another trap is trying to multitask. Many people think they can focus on multiple things at once, but the research is very clear that this doesn't work.
What we call multitasking is really just rapid task switching. And every time you switch, you lose time and energy. Your brain has to reorient itself to the new task.
So even though it might feel like you're getting more done by doing multiple things at once, you're actually being less efficient and producing lower quality work.
The solution is to focus on one thing at a time, finish it or reach a good stopping point, and then move to the next thing. Sequential focus is always better than divided attention.
This applies to everything, even entertainment. If you're watching a show but also scrolling through your phone, you're not really enjoying either one. You're just fragmenting your attention.
So practice single tasking in all areas of your life. When you eat, just eat. When you talk to someone, just listen. When you work, just work. Your attention will get stronger over time.
Let's talk about technology one more time, but from a different angle. We've talked about managing distractions from technology, but you can also use technology to support your focus.
Yes, there are apps and tools specifically designed to help you stay focused. Some of them block distracting websites during your work time, for example.
Or you can use apps that track how you spend your time on your devices. Sometimes, just seeing the data about how much time you're spending on certain apps is enough to motivate change.
There are also apps that help you build better habits around focus, giving you reminders and tracking your progress over time. These can provide structure and accountability.
But the key is to use these tools intentionally. Don't just download every app you find. Choose one or two that address your specific challenges and actually use them consistently.
And remember that these are just tools. They can help, but they're not magic solutions. The real work still comes from you and your commitment to changing your habits.
Another aspect of focus that we haven't mentioned yet is learning to recognize the difference between productive focus and busy work that just makes you feel productive.
Oh, that's a really important distinction. Sometimes we spend a lot of time on tasks that feel like work, but don't actually move us toward our goals.
Things like organizing your desk for the 5th time, or creating elaborate systems and plans without actually doing the work. These can be forms of procrastination disguised as productivity.
So it's important to regularly step back and ask yourself, is what I'm focusing on right now actually important, or am I just avoiding something harder?
Real focus means working on things that matter, even when they're difficult or uncomfortable. It's not about being busy. It's about being effective.
This requires honesty with yourself, and sometimes it means making tough choices about what really deserves your attention and what doesn't.
It also helps to regularly review your goals and priorities. What are you actually trying to achieve? And is how you're spending your focused time aligned with those goals?
If there's a mismatch, you need to either change what you're focusing on or change your goals. Otherwise, you'll work hard but never feel like you're making real progress.
Let's also acknowledge that some days are just going to be harder than others. Some days focus will come easily, and other days it will feel like a constant struggle.
That's completely normal. Your capacity for focus isn't the same every day. It's affected by how you slept, how you feel, what else is going on in your life.
So on days when focus is hard, be kind to yourself. Lower your expectations a little bit. Do what you can and trust that tomorrow might be better.
This doesn't mean giving up or using it as an excuse. It just means being realistic and not judging yourself harshly for being human.
Sometimes the best thing you can do on a low focus day is work on easier tasks that don't require as much concentration and save the harder work for when you're feeling sharper.
The key is to keep showing up and doing your best with whatever capacity you have that day. Consistency matters more than perfection.
Before we finish, I want to mention one more thing that I think is really powerful, and that's creating rituals around your focused work.
Rituals are small actions that you do in the same way each time to signal to your brain that it's time to focus. They create a mental boundary between regular life and focused work time.
For example, maybe you always make a cup of tea before you start working, or you put on specific music, or you spend 2 minutes doing breathing exercises.
The specific action doesn't matter as much as the consistency. When you do the same thing every time before you focus, your brain starts to associate that action with the focused state.
Over time, just doing the ritual can help you drop into focus more quickly because your brain recognizes the pattern and knows what's expected.
Many writers, artists, and other creative people use rituals like this. They're not superstitious. They're just using psychology to make focus easier and more automatic.
You can also create an ending ritual, something you do to signal that focused work time is over. This helps your brain transition and prevents work from bleeding into the rest of your life.
So think about what rituals might work for you. Start simple, be consistent, and notice how they affect your ability to focus.
I think we've covered a lot of ground today, from managing technology to taking care of your body to building better habits and rituals.
We really have. The main message I want people to take away is that staying focused in today's world is difficult, but it's absolutely possible if you're intentional about it.
You don't have to do everything we talked about. Even making a few small changes can make a big difference. Start with whatever feels most relevant to your situation.
Maybe it's turning off your notifications, or creating a better workspace, or just committing to one focused work session per day using the Pomodoro technique.
Pick one thing, practice it until it becomes natural, and then add something else. That's how you build sustainable change that actually lasts.
And remember, the goal isn't to be focused every moment of every day. That's not realistic or even desirable. The goal is to be able to focus when it matters.
To have the ability to choose where your attention goes, rather than having it pulled away by every distraction that comes along.
That's real freedom, isn't it? The freedom to decide what deserves your attention and what doesn't. The freedom to do deep, meaningful work and be present in your life.
Absolutely. And that freedom is worth working for. It takes effort and practice, but the payoff is enormous.
So we want to thank all of you for spending this time with us today. We know your attention is valuable, and we're grateful that you chose to focus it here.
We hope this conversation has given you some practical ideas and maybe shifted how you think about focus and distraction.
If you found this helpful, we'd love for you to explore some of our other episodes. We cover many different topics related to personal growth, learning, and living a more intentional life.
Yes, there's a lot more content on the Easy English Talk podcast channel that might help you on your journey. Each episode is designed to give you real value and help you grow.
So take a look, find something that interests you, and we'll be here to have more conversations with you. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care, everyone. And remember, your attention is one of your most valuable resources. Protect it, invest it wisely, and use it to create the life you want.